Those instances were rare. More often they followed the careful script over and over again as the days grew longer and stranger and the months became years, and Elliot couldn't tell how many had entered him and how old he'd become. He knew he still looked young, could still fool the men, but he felt weighed down by centuries, so much so that doubt crept in, ever bright and electric around the edges of his bottomless pit. Was this his fate? Would he ever get filled up? Was this him, the real him, what he really wanted, or was it some sickness in him, an infection caught from evil men that was causing him to lose his mind? Elliot tried to think on it, but could never focus on the answers. He would make rationalizations, and they would flee from his mind in seconds. Chevelle's words echoed back to him from a million years before, and in those moments of doubt, he would try to pinch himself to wake up, wondering if he would have been happier not being fucked by his nightmares, but sitting on the edge of a bed where a man slept. And he wasn't fucking him either, but watching him with a longing and a real innocence that could turn into love. But then he felt that feeling again, that slow collapsing feeling like a dying star, and knew that that was a lie. Chevelle was alive, a muscled man was alive, driven on, somnolent. He went hunting for someone with a taste for his blood. Like the Wall Street man whose claws now slid under Elliot's shirt and dug into his back. He couldn't stop this, Elliot thought, as he crushed the pill under his tongue and his teeth. He was helpless against this man, under this weight, within his own nature. He was helpless like God is helpless, demeaned and demanded of by angry, evil children, an enslaved deity in possession of eternity and sin colored by responsibility. And Elliot desired, as much as it scared him, as much as those around him stared at the gaunt, sickened zombie he'd become. It was how he liked it. This was what he was and would always be. He didn't have a choice. The chasm opened up like the empty, cold gates of hell, and the Wall Street man entered Elliot with his hand. Except immediately something was wrong. Hot and frenetic, the Wall Street man's hand erased the emptiness and hit something hard and immense and angry inside Elliot. Elliot jumped with a feeling he hadn't felt before. His body had no give. He bubbled and heaved with the force of an ocean inside him, an ocean that was rising, filling every vessel, every vein, no longer a metaphor or a secret wish, but real. He had reached the end. He was full. He was more than full. It was coming out. "Get it out!" Elliot screamed. The Wall Street man pulled his hand out of Elliot's pants and stepped back, surprised. His hand was covered with a thick, black oil. What the... But there was more of it. Elliot yelled in pain as his pants became stained with the black oil. He shuddered as it poured over his shoes and across the floor of the subway car. Commuters screamed and tried to jump away as the black oil flowed over their expensive shoes and bags, but the car was too full. The oil smelled putrid and alive, the dark, secret evils of a million men now released back into the world at once. Elliot fell into the arms of the Wall Street man. He tried to ask for help, but when he opened his mouth to speak, the black oil poured out instead. It was coming out of his eyes now, his nose, his ears, every place it could escape. It shot out like a water cannon, soaking walls, clothes, faces with rotten blackness. The Wall Street man gnashed his sharp teeth, and his claws dug deep and painful into Elliot's bloated, bleeding carcass. More black oil poured out of the wounds as Elliot struggled to free himself. Everyone was running and pushing now in a panic. The oil was nearly knee-deep. Elliot pulled away from the Wall Street man and fell into the newborn ocean, completely submerged under the steaming liquid. He felt shoes and hands on him as the commuters tried to escape, pushing him deeper into the black. Elliot pulled himself to the surface, but before he could take a breath, he felt the searing locomotive force of the overcoat's horns goring him as he charged. The oil now came out twice as fast, and as the level rose, Elliot could see the bodies of drowned commuters floating face down on the surface. The two hags unfurled their wings and flew at Elliot's shredded body. They screeched and attacked him, ripping pieces from him with their talons, unleashing wave upon wave of black pitch until the whole car was filled with it, and Elliot's eyes met nothing but darkness. Elliot felt cold stone and bright lights sandwiching him back to reality. Suddenly he woke up. He was awake. The surfaces weren't fuzzy. Time didn't slide the way it had for the past centuries. Elliot was completely awake. Finally awake. He was lying on the subway platform. His clothes had been soaked through with sweat, and he was crying uncontrollably, shaking with the after effects of the seizure. A nice-looking woman was fanning Elliot with her Wall Street Journal, while two MTA workers advanced down the platform towards them. The train was still sitting at the station, and the commuters stared out at this disturbed young man, some with disgust, some with pity, but most with impatience. Elliot was just another sick passenger, holding up the train, a single broken body caught up in the gears of the machine, and he was making everyone late. Thanks.
Thank you.